It started back in the end of 2019 in December. I was having back issues. I lost the sensation of the bottom half of my body. I couldn't even stand and walk. I was unable to tell when I needed to go to the bathroom, and that's when we knew it was serious. So I ended up going into immediate surgery. We had found out through the MRI scan that I had 3 herniated discs. After the surgery, they were able to remove 1 disc and push the other 2 back in. And so after that, they told my parents that because of the high risk, that it is now considered a disability. Hello, my name is Danielle Tolino. I am 22 years old and I live in Crown Point, New Mexico. My diagnosis was cauda equina syndrome. It has to do with your spinal cord. The discs I had in my spinal cord had, slipped, and they were causing a lot of pressure on my spinal cord, and that's why I do have some nerve damage, and I have not fully gained, my nerves back. My back pain was so great where I couldn't even, sit up for that long. I couldn't lay down flat or, pick up my feet. My dad had to push my feet, and so that's when it was serious. And that's when I got taken down to IHS ER down here in Crown Point.
They waited for UNM to have an opening to take her.
So the next day I was taken by ambulance to UNMH in Albuquerque. I went to pediatric ER, I believe it was.
And then they did the MRI right off the bat and they got her in there. And right after that, she had surgery for about 13 hours.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go after the 3rd, but they were worried about keeping her stable and being under the surgery that long. They didn't want to take a chance. So that's why they had stopped. Found out later that she had nerve damage, and that was about the extent of the whole thing.
They said if we did not come in any sooner or longer, I could have been paralyzed from the waist down. With my diagnosis, I have to be, really careful on what I do, how I pick up things, how I walk. I can't really, bend or lift or twist, because any little small fall or anything, I could end up back in the same position. After surgery, I had to go to the rehabilitation hospital where I spent about 10 days to kind of relearn how to move my legs and regain the strength back into my legs. And so from there, that's, I guess, where I started to, learn how to live in somewhat, not a new world, but in the world of being disabled. Well, that was 2019, so that was the year I graduated. I graduated in May, and I had a whole plan to go to college. I really love baking, and so that was my, intended goal, was to go to our local university here in Crown Point at Navajo Technical University. Back in fall of 2019, I was taking my prereqs at NTU. After experiencing my back pain, I had to stop attending classes and I had to withdraw. And so, that took a toll on my education. It put a lot of, my future plans, I don't want to say discard them. I had to, relook at what I wanted to do afterwards. It's still kind of sad, and I really wish I was able to, complete my education, because I really wanted to be a professional baker with my own, small baking business here in Crown Point. Being diagnosed with my disability, it was hard. I was kind of hit with the hard reality of the world not really being built for someone with a disability. And not only did I feel it, but it was, my parents. My parents were there with me in the hospital. My dad was a security guard at IHS down here in Crown Point. He had to take FMLA. My mom also had to do the same thing because we were in the hospital for weeks on end. I also had to live with the reality of my diagnosis and hear what my parents went through with everything. My mom and I are really close, and she tells me, and it breaks my heart when she tells me she also had to let go of the things she dreamed of for me. And the same with my dad, because my dad was the one who really stepped up and said, I want to take on this role to take care of you. And so he's been, by my side since my diagnosis.
She was feeling bad about it. I had to try to explain to her to not give up, and we'll do the best we can. But just giving her support and being there with her and tell her whatever you think about and whatever's bothering you, you can talk to me, share me your feelings and express this, and we can work it out together. Don't think that you're alone with this disability yourself. We both have to learn from it. This is something new from us. We'll make the best of it.
I really owe it to my dad for, talking to me and asking me the hard questions. Are you okay? And he would tell me it's okay to not feel okay. It's okay to be sad. And there were days where I didn't want to get up or I didn't want to do anything. And my dad was there that's okay. You can, feel your feels, but also pick yourself up and know that it's temporary. It's not going to be forever. So my dad was always, my cheerleader as well. And same for him, I guess I would always ask him, how are you feeling? And we were always, just there for each other. Doctors kind of told me, you have this diagnosis now. You're disabled. You should probably, consider applying for Medicaid, applying for SSDI, which I did.
Be resourceful. You guys have the internet, and the internet is unlimited to what you can find. But the object of it is asking it the question.
It took a lot of research on my end. Research on what the state has to offer in New Mexico. I changed from the basic New Mexico Medicaid to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so with Blue Cross Blue Shield, I also kind of had to navigate, and I was finally put with a case manager who was able to ask me questions and kind of point me in the right direction. Yeah, it was hard. I had to kind of go through different caseworkers. It took kind of a lot of me of asking questions for my caseworker with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I had to ask my caseworker with Blue Cross Blue Shield if there was a program where I could apply or have my dad apply for to become my caretaker and kind of get paid for taking care of me. They gave me a phone number. I called down there and they're like, yeah, come on in. And so it was also communication between my caseworker at Blue Cross Blue Shield with the organization and through. It was the Rue Family Outreach, and Blue Cross Blue Shield was the one to reach out to them and tell them, we have this client here. Her dad is her caretaker. Can we look at, getting her set up? It was just this simple going in one day, filling out an application, and then that was it. It was kind of starting immediate afterwards. They gave my dad like a rundown on how many hours he could get and how we would go about clocking in and clocking out. I wouldn't say it's more medical, but my dad has to go through a lot of trainings. He had to get his CPR, first aid, fire extinguisher. He also had to get his food handlers, and he has to complete a number of hours of training. Dad does a lot of things for me, not only for me, but the household. My dad's the one who does everyday chores, cleans the house. He helps me take care of my cats, feeds them, take out their litter. My dad prepares my meals, grabs me the things I need, especially when I need to shower, when I use the bathroom. He does everyday things for me.
For Danielle, I get up and help her a lot with her hygiene stuff and get her ready in the morning, help her with the shower, help her with the bathroom, help her with her getting dressed. Sometimes her back would ache, and especially if it's rain and stuff because of the arthritis and whatnot that's building up with the surgery on that.
I'm able to, do the things I love, like beading or painting. So there's a lot of things I can do on my own, but there's a lot of things, that my dad has to help me with.
A lot of people, I feel for them, is that they don't know how to understand to get away from that depression, is to think of new ideas, what can help them, and know that even sitting there, if you can, do some movements. So I tell Danielle, if you some movement, practice your feet. Sit there and like a Kill Bill, that one lady sitting there, move my big toe, come on big toe. And eventually she got it. It takes determination and hard work to get where you're at and what you want to be, and physically telling her, I said, well, when we're here, you can learn a new hobby, something that you want to do. And what I introduced her was drawing, painting. And she goes, I cannot paint, I cannot draw. I says, you can. I go, even if it's a stick person, that's fine. Give it a chance. And we got a few out that she still needs to finish up and stuff.
I've thought about what if I wasn't as lucky as I am to have loving, caring parents who have my dad. If I didn't have a family member to step up and say, I'm going to take on this role, I don't know where I'd be. I think I'd probably be, I don't even know, maybe a group home. And we all knew ultimately that's not where we wanted to be. That's not where I wanted to be. I'm young. I'm 22 years old. I wouldn't want to be in a place where I'm, monitored or treated differently. A lot of our relatives who are in group homes have been placed in them for, a majority of their life because they don't have somebody at home, or their family aren't aware that they're able to go through, this route, that they will have, financial stability. And I think that's like a lot of, where people are scared because, financial stability, you can't just, as much as someone would want to stay home and take care of them, they're afraid of that part. Beforehand, I never really got out and did the things I wanted to do because of my diagnosis. I didn't get to go out with friends, go to the movies or anything, and so ultimately that's how we knew we wanted, someone to be home with me and take care of me. Yes, now I get to do the things I want to do. I'm able to, have my own schedule, get up when I want, do the things I want. I go to movies. I have loving friends who make the drive out for me and who, put my wheelchair into their car and like help me, push me around. And so I'm able to get out and do those things. Okay, so this is empowering Indigenous accessibility. It started back in 2023, and it kind of just started because I was online one night on TikTok live, and this happened around, of course, fair time. I had expressed one night with a friend online, and so we both expressed our feelings of feeling excluded from the events at the fair. I expressed that I felt there wasn't a designated area, especially for wheelchairs, isn't there? And so that's why I really don't choose to go out and enjoy the fair as much as I want to. And I felt sad that, a lot of my friends were going, and, I had to decline their offer of, I don't want to go. And so that started, and another really good friend of mine was the one to create a petition on change.org, and it was a petition to get the Navajo Nation fairgrounds more accessible. And so from there, that's where it took off. We got a lot of Navajo TikTokers to spread the word, and the amount of signatures we got grew from there. And so then the shift came of not only was it going to be for Navajo Nation fairs, but for all of the Navajo Nation to be accessible. Because not only at the fairs do we face these problems, our chapter houses for our elders to get out to vote, our flea markets are inaccessible, especially with, the dirt, the gravel. And so that's where empowering Indigenous access came. Just this year in June, my dad and I and Benita went out to the National Disability Rights Network conference, and that's where we spoke. And through that, it was bringing awareness to Navajo Nation. There has been a small improvement made, and that was at the Dean C. Jackson Arena in Winter Rock, Arizona. And that arena is where a lot of the rodeo happens. During Navajo Nation Fair, that's where the big concerts happen. And so they finally made an improvement there back in, I believe it was the end of May. They had finally designated a paved sitting area for all the wheelchairs. And, they paved a long walkway from the parking lot into the arena that got paved. And I was invited, I believe it's on our Facebook page, Empowering Indigenous Accessibility. But I was invited to the ribbon cutting, and I was actually the person that cut the ribbon, and I was the person that led our Navajo Nation president down the walkway. Yeah, it really was a highlight, and it felt, like finally we're being heard. There are different programs out there for those families who really want to have financial stability, but also be able to take care of their loved ones.
And look what she's done today. I'm very proud of the voice that she has raised about the disabilities that's out on a reservation. Like I said, she's my hero to this day, and I'm glad to be around.
I have things to look forward to, I should say. I'm definitely looking forward to, life. Now I look forward to, what's out there and what's next for me. I feel happy, that I get to stay home. I get to be in my childhood home where I grew up. I get to eat the food I love. I get to be comfortable in my own bed. I get to, be with my pets. And so I'm more than happy, to be home. I love my space. I'm able to create my own space where I feel the most comfortable. My piece of advice would be to just research. You know your body and you know your situation better than anyone else does. And if you have those questions, ask those questions. It's never right or wrong. And to never give up. It took me 4 years to finally find a program for my family that fits my family. Wow.
That's good.
Feels good, yeah. It feels amazing. I haven't been up this way before my surgery and everything happened. I used to really enjoy being outdoors, being able to tell my parents that I'm gonna go for a walk. And then just coming up here and clearing my head. Just because you are given this disability, your life does not end. You still have a lot of life, and just because one little label, that shouldn't stop you. You should always, ask questions. Use your voice if you're able to. If not, have your family be your voice. And to not give up. And to overcome, such labels